Well, we're at noon and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but so I think we'll just get going. I think we'll have a few more people that jump in after we get started here, but I'm Laura Gustafson from the TDMAW office, for those of you that haven't met me. And today we have Paul Wilkie from Federated Insurance that's going to be talking to us about screening, hiring, and retaining employees. Paul has been with Federated this is going to be his 36th year and has worked with a lot of our TDMAW members. So he's been around the block and knows our group very well. He's referred several members to the TDMAW and has worked to help insure members. So we appreciate all that Paul has done for us. He works mainly in Washington County, Ozaukee County, and northern Milwaukee counties. His territory. Andrew Wren, who was our marketing rep, was originally going to do our presentation, but Andrew, something came up kind of last minute, so Paul was nice enough to jump in and take over for Andrew today. So thank you for doing that,
Oh, absolutely.
Paul. We have a small enough group that I think if anybody has any questions as we're going through the presentation, you can just unmute yourself and kind of chime in, and Paul will do his best to answer your questions. If he doesn't have an answer, he'll find out and get back to you. But I think that's it for me. If you want to take it away, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and very happy to put on this discussion on screening, hiring, and retaining employees. What we're really wanting to do with this is get everybody thinking and sharing and making strides in hiring the right people. It's good obviously, it's good for you and the efforts of your company, but also good for Federated Insurance, because if our customers and people in general hire the right people, we have less claims and less problems. And so hopefully everybody gets some value out of this. And we'll start with slide number 2 here. Let's make sure that works. The culture of your business. So when you're hiring, obviously there are different positions and different that you're hiring for at your company. And I'm going to assume that when we're going about this thought process, that you've already have that kind of narrowed down as to, you're understanding the position that you're hiring for. And a person that's hourly on your floor is probably much different. It's a different interview process and a different thought process than somebody that is maybe a salaried manager that's working within your plant, or manager of your floor, production floor. Also, it's different if you have an hourly office person versus an office manager, or an inside salesperson versus a field salesperson. Completely different jobs. And even though they all live within the culture that you have, obviously when you're hiring these people, their job is going to be different. So the communication you have with them about their expectations and about what their job duties are going to be completely different. But we want to talk a little bit about the culture and get everybody thinking about your culture, and the culture that you want to have at the company. Usually, the employees that you have right now, or if you think about the workforce that you have, they are already defining your culture, I believe, in many ways. And that may be good or bad, and you might want to visit that internally. And you might want to talk with and understand and think about the culture that you have within your facility for the people that you're hiring. If it's not the culture you want, you might want to tweak that or make some changes. But if it is and it works, the culture that you have built over the years in your business, or that has been built by your predecessors, is defining, I think, a lot of what you're looking for when you're looking for and retaining and attracting people, because you want them to be a good fit within the culture. Are you disciplined within your workforce, or is it more relaxed? Do you allow working from home, or is that something that just doesn't work for you? Uh, Federated itself did some experimentation with working from home. We do it on a limited basis, but it really doesn't work for us. We need to have communication between our employees. We need to have them be able to sit down and join a meeting. We need to have them have that interaction and training, um, because a lot of our workforce within our organization is is older, and we need to have that gap bridged. We need the older generation to help younger generation understand what our goals are and the intricacies of our business. And I'm sure that in many ways, you guys, your companies have the same issues. It may not be that issue or it may not be that problem, but when you're hiring people and you're looking at the culture within your company, it can be defined a lot already by and you can get it, you can maybe grab some information from your current employees by the employees that you have that are working for you. Um, so that I think, and that's what we think, is maybe some tools that you can use for you to understand and get an understanding of what the culture is within your company. Um, Maybe you have an older workforce and you're transitioning to a younger workforce. Maybe your company has more of a social on and off the job structure. You may want to think about that. Do you require the employees to regularly work long hours? Do you have a regular 8 hour day, or are there many times where people have to work overtime, 12-hour days? What kind of work atmosphere do you have? Do you let people maybe come and go as they please, but always get their work done? Or do you have more of a structured day where they need to punch in and they need to punch out? Um, so the honesty and the integrity of your workforce and the workplace attitude, a lot of times is replicated, or basically your employees mimic their managers or their owner. If their owner is a hardworking, a hard-nosed person, a lot of times their employees will pick up on that and perform the same way. So I think the employees themselves, and we believe the employees, good employees that have been at a company for a long time, engaging them with the younger employees, and that engagement then helps support the culture that you want within your company. And those older employees coming on board and sharing and setting an example for the younger employees that are there, or for the new employees, maybe not younger, but maybe new employees, to support that uh, ideal, the ideals and ethics of current management and the direction that they want to go is also, we feel is important. So anything anybody else wants to chime in on that from the culture of the business? Anything I'm missing there, or might be you might be able to help each other out. Just chime in. I don't want to just talk too much here. Um,
So I would just say that I do agree. The more information you can give a candidate before they take a job about what your culture really is like and what they can expect if they are hired, I think the better chance to have a successful hire, just to give them realistic expectations about what the culture is and if they can decide if that's a good fit for them or not.
right. I've been involved with shops that have allowed people to come in to work a little bit or part time for a period of time to see what things are like. I don't know. There might be good things or bad things about that, um, but having a probationary period, I think, is good for companies, um, because you have an understanding of what the work ethic is of that employee when they come aboard. So I'll move on to the next slide. All right. Do your hiring practices reflect your culture? Did I move from slide to slide here?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Try one more
All
time. There
right,
you go.
so where are you finding your candidates? We talked a little bit about finding a good fit. Um, you know, over the years, I've talked to a lot of different business owners, and it seems like many of them have gotten good at thinking outside of the box, whether it be advertising on a local radio station, which maybe is popular with the other employees inside of the shop, or getting involved. I think a lot of the successful business owners that I know have gotten involved in different associations, gotten involved and created relationships with to form a pipeline of good candidates, whether they have relationships at local tech schools, whether they have relationship at the local high school, whether they visited the local high school, being part of Tool Die Machine Association when I've seen younger kids come in and discuss their scholarship that they got from you, or the iBots, the robot
Bot,
competitions,
yeah, Bots IQ.
Bots IQ. Yep, excuse me, Bots IQ. Getting involved and understanding what workforce, what is out there as potential candidates, and then getting your name associated with and maybe associated with a potential place for them to work, and also for them to maybe to see you do a presentation at a school, come into a class, get recognized by the teachers or instructors, have a face of your business within the places where you would may get candidates, allows you maybe to have a pipeline. And I think that every a lot of companies are different than other companies. They maybe don't have that much turnover, or they aren't expanding. Maybe that isn't as important. But for those companies that need to find qualified talent and need to bring a new generation into their business, I think that the relationships that you can build are important. I see that not only in, from what Federated tries to do, our organization, but from the customers and clients that we have. You need to have mentors um, in your company to teach people, to teach the new generation. And if an employee knows that they're going to go to a place where they feel comfortable, and they already maybe know somebody, have seen how that person represents and is excited about their firm, it's going to be a place where they're going to gravitate to. It's also, we believe that a lot of in our success in hiring at Federated is really comes from the employees inside of our organization, and I think that that's very much so true in many of the manufacturing facilities that we service. That there are friends of good employees that know what you're looking for and understand your culture, and would like to work with their friends. And I think that having a referral bonus is something that has really worked well at our organization, getting people to actively seek people like themselves. People tend to work with people that are like themselves. So if they're a good employee, they will know other people that are like them and have similar interests. I think that that's a good place to find employees. So you're looking at the schools that people are already gravitating towards your field. You're looking at the people that have similar interests in employees. If you're looking for someone that's more of accounting or educate has some sort of education in a different field, we obviously have a relationship with the University of Wisconsin Whitewater and Stevens Point, and there's different interviewing processes and places you can go. We regularly attend to school functions and classes um, within those organizations to do our hiring. That'd be a similar thing that you'd be doing, whether it be putting on a little seminar or talking with and having a relationship with the teachers at Moraine Park, or or at the local high schools that have good shop programs. Um, if you're looking for an HR person or an accounting person, obviously you're going more the route of looking at our four-year colleges and developing relationships with their departments that allow you to do interviewing. Any other ideas or I see Federated has career fairs, Indeed, like there's Monster and other online tools to find initial people. Um, any other input that anybody else has on where they found good candidates?
Yeah, I'll just share. This is Rick here. We used to back in the day, we're really heavy into offering internships. And many years ago, kind of like that dwindled. But we've gone, all in back into that. And it takes a lot of time and effort for that to be successful. But we found that's a really good way of kind of screening. Your overall theme here is kind of screening, finding good candidates. And so that's worked out really well. And I'm not sure if others that are on this call, they've had good or bad experience with that, but there's been I'd say a fairly strong resurgence in that.
Are you paying them, Rick?
We are, and I'm astonished how much they get.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're paid well, and we're trying to also model, hey, we want you to work. So it's not the coffee gopher thing, but um, we want it to be attractive and have them see, hey, they should consider us versus some, in our case, much larger competitors that are all trying to go after the same talent pool. So yeah, that's been our experience.
Anybody else? That's a great idea, Rick, and I'm glad you shared that. I noticed that Federated had gone after and has been doing the same thing with the risk management people. In fact, they had a team of them go throughout the country and visit facilities looking for fire risks this year. And one of the comments that came out is that there were some of the applicants that we hired that didn't show up always for work or their work ethic wasn't very good, and we were able to pick the best of those candidates. So, like you're saying, that's an excellent idea, and we also paid them a fair wage and expected probably a lot from them. So that's a great idea. Um,
I know one of our members, Mance Automation, has talked about their Emerging Leaders program where they have students come in and um, learn on the job. And they're not only having them work on the shop floor, but they're teaching them how to read a PO and, other kind of business skills. So I think just kind of reiterating what you're saying about getting involved with your schools and building relationships with the instructors and helping establish what the curriculum is going to be, maybe serve on the advisory board. It's kind of a you get what you give kind of relationship, but then those students and instructors have your organization top of mind when the students are getting ready to look for a job. So,
Having a face. Kids I mean, everybody wants to go where they're comfortable, and people like things that they know about. And I think it's hard for students and to understand, I mean, walking into a building for the first time is really probably a scary thing. But if you know the owner and you've had communication with them, or their hiring person that does their hiring or the face of their business, I mean, now you have a nice transition for someone that maybe is a potentially great employee, but just needs a shove in the right direction. And there's a lot of places that kids can choose to, or people can choose, a lot of things that they can do with their lives, and we want them to do, what maybe, hey, this is a great career for you, like great place for you to work.
mhm.
Moving on a little bit on background screening should be a priority. You want to find the right candidates. There's a lot of third party organizations that do a good job of this that you can sign up for. On our MyShield, we have a background screening tool for you to use. It's inexpensive. You can find out the criminal background, the status of the employee. It goes not just a few states or a few counties like our state of Wisconsin public information site does, but it goes nationwide. You do have to be careful when you're hiring. For a lot of positions, you cannot hold someone's criminal background against them. But it gets you an idea, I think, of at least whether they're eligible to work. We want people to do background screenings, check references. You'd be surprised. At our company, we don't want to give anything out besides the when the person started and when the person stopped. But that doesn't mean that you can't get a lot of information from somebody if you do a reference check, or at least see what their job history is, or maybe talk to their teachers, instructors. If they put down someone as a reference and they don't give them a good reference, then boy, it's tough. But anyway, if someone's got anything on the background screenings they found to be helpful. Next, go ahead. Drug and alcohol program. I recently had someone call me up and said that an employee showed up for work and they were inebriated and they wondered whether they could fire them. And I referred them to, we have a human resources line that our customers can go to if they have employment related practice coverages. It's at no charge. But the problem with not having a drug and alcohol program at a company is if you never told anyone they couldn't, and maybe you do share beverages at the end of the day, or maybe people have drank at work, how do you then tell them that they are let go if they show up to work in a position that they, in a way that they shouldn't be, and if they come to work, high or drunk. So having things in writing and getting professional help with that, I think is something that you need to do ahead of time and share with people, during that process and doing, we give companies credit and to get the best workers' comp dividend that we have, they have to have a drug and alcohol program, and they have to do pre-screening drug tests. And the reason behind that is that in choosing the right employee, we don't want the companies that we take care of the insurance for being the place where the only place in town that doesn't do drug screening, so where the drug people that are on drugs will gravitate towards. So, it is something that when we look at insurance, at least, that's something that we feel as though is important for companies to do and have. Moving on to the next screen here. We're talking about employee retention. Before I do that, is there any questions on the drug and alcohol, or any feedback anybody has on the last slide that I know sometimes I rush and get too excited and move on. So,
Comes back to your culture, I guess.
yeah, I guess so. It does. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I know. One of the things I think that I'm looking at my notes here is we use Xywave. If you're driving south on 41, just before right around where Freighter is, Watertown Plank Road, you'll see Xywave, one of the buildings. Xywave is a human resources third-party company that helps create policies and procedures. I think there's a slide that we have, a handbook builder. Their federated pays for that for our customers, and we have it available on our website so that our customers can get things like after employment exit interview questions itself, performance reviews, return to work late duty program forms, common forms, and also can get some professional help if they have a human resource issue without hiring an attorney, which would cost a lot of times $400 or more an hour. So Xywave maybe is another, outside of Federated, is another company you could probably look to, or there's other third-party resources that might be helpful. things like check to give you check off lists and that type of thing. As we look at more for about this next slide here is employee retention important to your business. I guess most companies, it's very important. I know when I was hired at Federated, and this is back in 1989, they told us that it cost them about $100,000 in down cost to have us for the first year by the time they trained us. And basically we're dead weight for them for a period of time, because yes, we're working for them, but we don't know anything, and they have to have personnel there to train us in how to do, how to take care of people. And I spent actually a year at Federated in their home office, going from department to department, just learning before they set me into the field, and then they give me a manager to ride with me to learn about the different businesses. So in your business, I'm sure it's the same thing. It costs you a lot of money to have somebody working for you that really isn't producing. And you have to kind of look at what happens if you lose somebody. What is the impact of if you lost one employer, multiple employees, and how do we stop that from happening? How do we retain employees? It says here the cost of replacement could be half to or double the employee's annual salary. There are other costs to it that this doesn't mention. If you lose a good employee, that person isn't servicing probably a good customer. And I think that's a big thing, that a lot of employees have relationships with your customers, and they do a good job for them, and they're the reason why you kept that customer, and now they aren't there. You might not bring things to the table on time. You might not have the quality that you did with a new person that you have to train. You could also lose that employee to other things, like they might not be happy with your culture. They might get sick. They might get an accident. They could die on you. They could go to a competitor. Um, so those are important things. I think as an employee looks at why they stay, obviously compensation is why they would stay working for you. If they like working, they understand the people and the culture. But I think, I look back at the reasons why I stayed at Federated for the last 35 years, and I've had a lot of places that wanted me to work for them. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Federated, legitimately, I feel as though cared about me and my well-being and my family. I think that the management um, basically took input from its people, from its marketers, and and we feel valued. And I think that they show us and admit to us that we do have value for them, and that we are important. And not only are we important to the organization, and they make us feel that we're important, and we give them value. They get input, but they don't, you don't necessarily always take and follow the input we give. I think as a salesperson, often, well, we'd always want to be getting things less expensively for our customers, but the and we're always pushing. But I think that they've always listened, and they've always taken that information that we had and made us feel as though we had some input. And I think that also, from a bigger picture, I think people stay with companies because they have they have more of an intrinsic value as a whole. Like, you're not only helping an organization, you're helping your fellow employees, and you're mentoring, you're teaching, you're giving back. Maybe you're giving back to your community. Maybe you're making a big difference for a project you did, for a product that you were creating. Maybe you did a great job. Maybe they did a great job of satisfying their customer, and your team did a great job, and that employee did a great job for the team. So I think their feeling value is an important part of retaining an employee. Probably probably as important as the compensation, or sometimes more important. Any feedback on that?
Well, Ken Hines shared in the chat a document for anyone that's interested, 5 keys to customer loyalty. So I just want to call everyone's attention that document is over there in the chat if you're interested in that.
Cool. I'm going to take
And
a
it's
look.
interesting, the whole loyalty, that's kind of what comes to mind. I have heard from members, that they've hired people and then, they go down the street for $1 more an hour, or, there's challenges like that where people don't really necessarily feel a loyalty to their employer.
Yeah, you really take a look at it. When someone hires someone away, what are they really risking? They're risking, extra pay for 30 days. If they don't like the place or they don't like the employee, they can let them go, and then you burned a bridge with your last employer. And it's sad because, you might have really liked the place you worked at. You might have liked the people and you felt valued and you were comfortable that they wanted you to be there long term. And I think a lot of times people maybe leave places because nobody, you thought they were going to show up every day for a long time, and then all of a sudden they didn't because maybe, you forgot to say thank you or let them know how appreciative you are, or got their input, or understood just listened to their frustrations, that communication piece. Um, we have developed over time here, at the next slide, we have developed a program to help people retain their mission critical people, uh, ways of, we call it a triple protection plan, but basically it's a way of, saying thank you to an employee and reward them for years of service. If the longer they stay, there's bonuses involved. If they don't stay, they lose their bonuses. It's also a way to make sure the employee is taken care of if they got sick or died early, in their career, that the family would be taken care of. It also protects the company for, if that key person or mission critical person would pass away, early in their career. It helps the employees save for retirement, and have extra money. So we have done things like that. We have special programs that are very flexible that can be put, in place for lower dollar an hour employees up to very highly paid managers and any mission critical person at a company. There are ways for the company to split a death benefit with an employee and have the company pay for a company owned policy but the employee names his own or her own beneficiary. So there are different things like that you can do for employees. When you sit down with somebody and you do something just for them and you take time out to let them know that they're important to your company and they're a critical part to it, and then you put together a contract of some sort that says, hey, you stay here, we're willing to do something for you and reward you for that. That means something. I personally have had something like that on me with Federated, that a lot of times it's too expensive for people to come and get employees when they're walking away from a succession of bonuses. If they hire them and they give them an extra $1 or $2 an hour, they can fire them at the end of the month if they don't fit in, or reminding an employee that once a year or once every other year or once every 6 months or whatever, that they are important to the company and important to their teammates around them, and that there's a financial incentive for them to stay there, and they'd be walking away from that if they left. It does more than just giving someone $1 an hour or just offering them $1 an hour more, because you regularly visit and you regularly communicate and you regularly appreciate and show your appreciation for that employee. So there are different things that you can do as an employer to retain that talent. Some things people, they call them golden handcuffs. They're called golden handcuffs for a reason. It's hard to walk away. So that's there are things like that if you're interested in that type of thing, I'm more than happy to. You want to just text me or email me afterward. I can put you in touch with a federated rep in your area if it's something that you'd like us to help you with. Any questions on that? There are other things that we and that you can find in the marketplace with, and you're getting this information from your association, so it's a value added resource from the association. And there's things that perhaps your insurance company would do for you if you don't have federated, but these are things that we do. Having an employee handbook is important. We feel as though it's important, and there's ways to build that handbook. And we offer an employee handbook builder to all our insureds, so they can have an outline. It prompts them, what is our bereavement policy? What is our vacation policy? What is our sick pay policy? What is our drug and alcohol type of policy? What do we need to have for a motor vehicle record to work here and be a driver? Federated does driver checks on all the drivers that would work for our employers. You can go one step further. We have a tool that you can use to get regular notifications if someone had something happen, like a drunk driving. You can regularly monitor or immediately get motor vehicle records for your employees that their job is transportation or driving. When we defend our clients now, we try to set up we as a company, Federated, tries to set up a defense plan before you even get in an accident. And part of that defense plan is making sure you have a motor vehicle record policy, making sure you have a driver's policy. We give that to you, a driving policy, so that people aren't texting when they're driving, and you've told them not to surf the internet when they drive, making sure there's driver training. And the training that we offer on our website that's provided by JJ Keller and BLR, which is computer-based training, Toolbox Talks, that type of thing. These training systems that are out there to help you organize and train your employee on things that OSHA wants you to do, from a lockout tagout to hazardous communication. To these systems keep track of who you trained and when you train them, and provide the very training for you. And so that it makes it a lot easier for your human resources person to implement proper training. And the easier it is, the more accountability that you can then put on the human resources person to make sure that if you do have an incident in your facility, that if there's going to be some fines, that the person has been trained and you can defend yourself to any kind of administrative court judge or any kind of OSHA compliance type of fine that you've had. So those tools are out there. The drug and alcohol screening, we make it very easy for our customers to do that. You can do self-screening initially, and then go to a local facility like Freighter to provide the screening for you. We have, and there's other third parties that have employee practices type of a network. And I talked a little bit about Zywave, where they have professional human resources people that are there to answer questions that are always and regularly answering probably very similar questions that you may have when you're hiring or firing. Can you discriminate on someone based on what they wore when they came to an interview? This person did not come to work at several times on time. They're leaving before they're supposed to be. They've created a disturbance into the workplace. How do I properly document that? And do I have enough documentation to let them go? Do I have to worry about retaliation? They're on a workers' comp claim. If they're on a workers' comp claim and they're not done with end of healing, can we let them go? The answer to that question is we don't want you to have federated, not until they're at the end of healing. But that's the kind of thing you need, that regular feedback. You need those other outside consultants, hopefully, to help you, and you have to have someone to reach out to get those answers sometimes. And I think that you should regularly seek that out. We have risk management consultants and that create a safety plan for our customers. And we help in that regard, so that you are, paying attention to um, the safety issues within your facilities. So there are some helpful resources. We actually have someone inside of our home office and an outside field person now, so just to help people navigate um, the software programs that help, and the resources that are out there and available. So her name is Amber Madrid from my area. So she's there at her desk waiting for our customers to call and say, you know what, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I was told I needed. These are the kind of programs we have. Help me find them and implement them. And that's something that we're doing for customers. Quite frankly, it's in our self-interest as much as it is in yours. If we partner, we're part of your team, we certainly want you to be working at having a safe workplace. Any questions on any of that? I know it's a lot, it's a mouthful, but we're also, probably wanting to move on with our day somewhat too. So any questions on that? The different resources you have? Move to the next slide. I guess it all starts with properly relaying your culture and targeting candidates who understand and appreciate your culture. Hiring the right people. The right people are going to be teammates. They're pulling on the same rope in the same way you guys are taking that lead from that manager that understands your culture and is the setting the tone for the people that you're going to hire. And then those key employees inside of your facility and inside your business that have been there a long time to help support that manager and help support that culture that you developed. And those very people help you understand even what your culture is and help you find and retain those key employees, because people and at the end of the day want to work with people that they like, and they want to feel valued, and they want to feel that they have input, and they want to feel as though they're doing something bigger than themselves when they come to work. And if you can provide those things, it'll help you retain and pick up good employees and understand, what your own workplace that you want at your own workplace, and what you're doing and what has made you successful. Make a conscious effort to have a quality work environment. Their employees want to know that they're cared for. And when you have a safety program and you're taking the time out and spending the money to make sure that they have a safe, friendly um, uh, work environment that's comfortable to work in, and you've made investments in that, and that you care as an employer, that shows a lot. And then that also helps you retain and get good employees. Throw good compensation into that, and then throw extra bonuses and things for people that are mission critical, so you keep them through things like our TPP or Triple Protection Program. Those are things that we can help with, and we have different kind of you got to look at those outside resources so that you don't have to spend the money yourselves to hire different internal people to do your training. Have Federated come in and do your training. Get on your insurance company's website and make sure that they probably already are paying. Like we are paying for JJ Keller to bring every OSHA program you could almost possibly think of to your door, and the training to you. We're paying for BLR, which is a learning software with the competent person training for almost any industry, so that you can bring it to your people, and also that you can keep track of it. And so if you're held accountable for having that training for your employees, that you can prove you had it. and you can set your employees out and have them responsible for making sure to work for you, that they've done that they're responsible for doing the training. Um, so those kind of things are out there. Any questions on that, or it kind of what it feels like to have, or what kind of training is available on that? Well, then just let me know, and I can certainly show you the different training programs that we, or I'll get somebody in your area if I'm not in your area to show you what kind of training is available. It is very comprehensive. Um, I guess we'll wrap this up with any questions that you guys might have on anything, or if there's any input or value that you can bring that I didn't. Like Ken's, thank you, Ken, for the loyalty
Yeah,
piece. It was excellent.
thanks for sharing that. I think, a big pain point for our members is finding people. It's hard to find the right people. And I think, what we see organizations doing that are trying to do the right thing is getting involved with students and young people and encouraging the next generation as much as they can, and hosting student tours at their company, and coming to the job fairs. TDMAW tries to host booths at area job fairs. I know we had one member that manned our booth for us and got an employee out of it. Just, any place where you can build relationships with students and have some face time with them, I think is important. I don't know if anybody else has any comments about things that they've seen or have done that have been successful, or.
I'll share one that's may sound a little unusual, but the offboarding process is really critical in two senses. One, getting back to the culture and how you started, Paul, how important that is. If someone is not a fit, being realistic about it and offboarding that person directly, proactively, is really critical, because otherwise it can cause unexpected problems with other high performing personnel. I've seen that in my own company. I've seen that at clients, customers, companies, and so on. Um, so acting versus being reactive is really important. And I'd share another thing too. Sometimes we've had this experience, someone needs to leave, but if their experience up until that point was positive, and they may be at a different point of life down the road, and if that offboarding process is also positive, they may in fact be willing to come back, maybe in the same capacity, maybe in a different capacity in the future. And that's just really critical, because if the offboarding doesn't go so well and they don't feel like they were appreciated, even though they're leaving you, the chances of them being willing to come back, probably go near zero, or at least very, very low. So anyway, it's a little bit unusual in the sense of people coming back after they've gone, but it's happening. And with the generational thing going on, there may be a lot more of that. Maybe. So anyway, something I wanted to throw out. It's really helpful.
Yeah, I used to work with someone that said long life, small world. Like, you really don't know. Someone might leave, or a customer leaves, but you never know. They might find their way back. So it goes back
Maybe it
to the
wasn't, the
real
grass
the
wasn't
real
greener. Yeah,
yeah, goes back to the relationship building. And
right. Anybody else that has anything that they can help the group with, or something that you had a question on that I said, or something that you did maybe disagreed with me, or or something that maybe would help me or help anybody else in the group. Um, but
okay,
thank you,
well, we
everybody.
appreciate Paul being here and taking time to do pinch hit for his colleague and sharing the presentation with us. And we'll have a recording of this that we're willing to share. If anyone wants a copy of that, let me know. But thank you, Paul.
Yeah, yeah, you're
And thanks
welcome.
everybody for being here.
Anytime, and if anybody wants to get a hold of me with any other separate questions or ever, I have my email address and my office phone number on here. Don't hesitate to give a call. I appreciate you. So, would look
Excellent.
forward to hearing from you. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
everybody stay warm.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Paul. Enjoy the rest of your day.